let's just hold it there a minute. The show's going on, because after the break, we're going to be talking to Colin Stagg. But before then, we're talking to his wife, Diane, who the very mention of her surname sort of brings a gasp from the audience, and women thinking, how can you be married to this man? If you remember, Colin Stagg is the man who was accused and acquitted of the Wimbledon Common murder of Rachel Nickel. Now, Diane, good evening. You're joining us live tonight. Thank you for being with us. You've been in 3 serious relationships, of which Colin is the latest. You know what it's like to be hit, don't you?
Yeah, I've been in lots of relationships, 2 long-term relationships involving violent men, and I can honestly say that Colin is the only man that has never laid a finger on me.
What did the other 2 do to you?
People are laughing in the background, they might not believe that, but Colin Stagg is the only man that's never laid a finger on me, and he is a gentleman of all sorts. All those other men out there, I've been abused, I've been in a situation where I've been pinned up against the wall to the state of unconsciousness. I've had broken ribs, I've had black eyes, I've had cauliflower ears.
But never from Colin?
But never from Colin.
Stay there, because we're going to come back and talk to you in a short while. We've heard from Diane Stagg. After the break, we'll hear what Colin Stagg has to say for himself. That's next. Thank you very much. Welcome back to Thursday Night Live. Well, before the break, I spoke to Diane Stagg. Colin Stagg himself, the man, as I said, acquitted of the murder of Rachel Nickel on Wimbledon Common, is here with us now. Colin, good evening, thanks for being with us. We heard Diane, your wife, saying before the break that of all her serious relationships, you're the only man who's never knocked her about. I mean, given that background, it must gall you that people still think you're capable of murder.
Yeah, it does, actually. I actually hate blokes who harm women in any way whatsoever. And
Shush, please. Come on, give them let the man
speak. You can laugh, you pricks, but, you know, you're the ones who are sitting there, you're the ones who beat up your wives and your girlfriends and that, you know. You're just arseholes.
Can we hear what he has to say, please?
It just makes me sick to know that you people you're around, you know.
Well, all right. Well, tell me this, Colin. I mean, the last time you and I spoke, you'd just been picked up for having an axe with you on Wimbledon Common. All right, come on. It's not funny. This is a serious matter.
I didn't use it against a woman, though, did I?
OK.
Yeah,
we read in the paper this week, Colin. Well, hang on, Diane. We read in the paper this week, Colin, that you've been buying hunting arrows and combat knives. Now, why would a man who doesn't believe in violence want to buy stuff like that?
I have not bought hunting arrows, I've bought archery arrows.
Archery arrows?
Yeah, and that was a very long time ago.
And so that the stories that appeared this week, you're saying, are all old?
Yeah, that's right.
And what about the knives?
I bought those knives a long time ago.
So you haven't recently?
Not
It was
recently.
over 2 years
So what did you
ago.
want them for when you bought them?
I was going to go on a backpacking trip across the world.
Yeah, right, I'm sure you were.
All right, let him speak.
Yeah, I was, you prick.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, let me just put this to you. I mean, it's 2 years ago since you were acquitted. I mean, these people here, for some reason, still think that you had something to do with the
Because they're
murder.
pricks and they believe what the newspapers write.
OK, the language doesn't help, Diane. Come on, let's try and have a sensible conversation. Look, the Mail on Sunday dug up all this stuff at the weekend, some of which may have been used, some of which wasn't. You know, basically they're saying it's evidence that should have been put before a jury, Colin. But I don't want to go into, you know, whether Lucky Ladders was on the telly or not at the time. It boils down to 2 or 3 salient points, which perhaps we can clear up here. One, they're saying that neighbours of yours said that, contrary to what you said, you were common at the time of the murder. What do you say to that?
Well, these neighbours of mine, they had all differing stories about me that morning.
And what about the
Where
neighbours?
were you, mate? Where were you that morning?
You were with O.J. Simpson, mate.
All right, behave
that's right,
yourself.
I was
Come on.
boozing out, mate. Yeah, we're
Behave yourself.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing, they're saying that...
Fucking arse.
You're all right, the language doesn't help. I mean, you're saying you're a non-violent
White
man, you're growling and shouting at these
Nonsense.
people. You're not doing yourselves any favours, Colin. Let me put this to you. They also say that on the morning of the murder, you had information that a young girl had been killed and where she'd been killed before that information had been released by the police. But let's just answer it in a sensible, adult way, can we, please? How do you respond to that, Colin?
A police officer told me that morning that a young girl had been found murdered on a common. I assumed it was a little girl. That's what was told to me by the police. Then they retracted that. They said they didn't say that at all. OK, now look, we can go on checking these points. It has to be pointed out, yet again, a judge believed you and threw out the case and you were acquitted, but you were acquitted before the case ever went to a jury. Given what some of these people in this audience are saying now, wouldn't you have rather had your day in court and got cleared by a jury rather than by a judge? Yeah, I agree with that, yeah, I do.
So...
Shut you arseholes up, didn't it?
Well, it did, yeah. Well, so, all right, let me put this to you. Let me just take it... Come on, hang on, this is interesting.
There is
Colin Stagg,
500...
he's all right.
There is 520 odd people been arrested for this murder, right? There is also a lot of people that have come forward in the last few days because of what has been written in the Mail.
OK, Diane, let me just go back to Colin, because it's interesting, because I've never heard him say before that he wishes he'd been cleared by a jury, because then we wouldn't be having this conversation and we wouldn't have people throwing false accusations at you. The other thing that I read at the weekend, and I saw on TV your brother out saying you had fresh information which would clear your name and could also point the police in the direction of the real killer.
No, that's not what he said at all.
So do you have fresh information?
No, I actually said I have got the transcripts from my whole case, all the statements, all the transcripts and that to say, to give my side of what the Daily Mail had just printed on that Sunday.
What about... So you're saying that the stories that you didn't have any fresh information and you weren't trying to sell fresh information for £4,000 isn't true?
No, that's rubbish.
No.
That's rubbish. Colin wasn't trying to sell any information.
That was what your brother Lee actually went in front of television cameras and said.
We said it as a joke to get rid of the press, because they're right arseholes.
So look, if there is any fresh information, you're live in front of 1 million people tonight, and you offer it to us.
There is fresh information.
OK, Diane, tell us, you're live on television. You're live on television, there's 1 million people watching you. What is that fresh information?
It was given to Scotland Yard by myself personally.
Tell us what it is now, then, Diane.
I phoned Scotland Yard.
Well, tell us what it is now.
All right.
What is that information? You have the floor. You have all our attention.
It's in the hands of our solicitors at the moment.
I'm sorry.
And you'll be hearing from them soon.
What does it point to?
They're going to make press statements very soon, and you're going to know. Everybody will know then.
What does this information point to?
You'll be in jail soon, mate.
I'll meet you there then.
Right. OK, so you're not prepared to tell us what the new information is, even though I've given you the opportunity.
There has been 3 people come forward in the last few days. All information, all this about it being sold was crap.
What's the information? I'm just asking you to tell us, then we can clear it all up.
One woman works on Wimbledon Common. One woman works on Wimbledon Common, right? And she was there the day that Rachel was there. One of the information. That has been given to Scotland Yard. Another woman has come forward. She was married to the Ealing Vicarage rapist. That information, he is a spit of Colin. He was on Wimbledon Common on the day of the Rachel Nickel murder, but he is 6 foot tall, like all the witnesses said.
Well, as I say, as far as we know, that's just a wild claim. That's the information you put forward
against me.
I thank you for joining us.
Everything against me.
I thank you for joining us, but people are just going to have to make their own conclusions. Thank you all very much.
Wives, Stephen from Acton has practically sent us an SOS. I continually abuse my wife, says Stephen in Acton. It's a sickness. I need help. Prison will not help me. Richard from Haywards Heath says men who hurt women are just cowards. There's never an excuse to hurt someone who is weaker than yourself. Victoria from Edgware, men should be cancelled first. Throwing them in jail is not a solution. And Tom from Stockwell says, I've been beaten by my wife. And everyone just laughs, as the lady here did. It's a serious